Good evening and happy new year, and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart Radio station. I'm your host, Roman. We have a great show planned for you today, but first, the forecast from our IntellectualRadio.com Weather Center today. Rain, drizzle, mix, and warm. High 53 degrees tonight. Mixture of clouds and warm. Low 40 degrees. Tuesday, rain continues, then tapering off. Clearing, temps are to fall throughout the day. High 44 degrees. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, breezy, and cold. Low 20 degrees. Wednesday, cold, cloudy, and the Hawk will make his appearance tomorrow. So be prepared. High 26 degrees. And on Thursday, the Hawk continues with partly sunny skies, high 27 degrees. And on Friday, cloudy and warm. 2 degrees. I guess we're in that in and out playing double dutch with Mother Nature, huh? So the Drive at 5 is also part of the new Monday night lineup with a new show called Becoming Dateable at 12 p.m. The Great Entrepreneurs at 6 p.m. New Black Leadership at 7 p.m. Dreammakers at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Chronicles of Rom, and the Raw Checklist at 10 p.m. Also, the Drive at 5 is also part of the Fab 5 at 5 only on IntellectualRadio.com. The Drive at 5 is sponsored by Joshua Flynn and Insurance. Get your insurance today and every day. Today, my guest is a community leader, head of the Leaders Network, author, and educator. Please give a Drive at 5 welcome back to Reverend Ira Acree. Welcome back to the Drive, sir.
Thanks so much for having me. Happy New Year to you too, my friend. Brother Roman.
Thank you. Please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart Radio station an update since the last time you were on the Drive.
You got to tell me when was the last time.
It was a year ago.
Well, a year ago, I'm still doing the Lord's work out here in the community and pastor my church. My grandson's a year old. You know, you shoot me some other questions. That's all I can tell you from here.
Well, you have a new book entitled Just Do It. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, Just Do It is a book that came out of nowhere. My church was doing a campaign for 30 days, and I wanted to do something different. Rather than just having people fast, I wanted them to read something that could be thought-provoking. And the campaign was called 30 Days of Prayer. So I took a few weeks and said, what can I do to inspire them to realize how important prayer is? It's not about them being a master at praying, because nobody can master praying. If somebody can master praying, I want to take them to Children's Memorial Hospital where all these kids have cancer and stuff like that. So nobody masters praying. But I want to inspire them to pray about important things. And so, we talked about praying for your community, praying for your parents, praying for the young adults, for the political leadership at every level. At every level. And we just talk about a variety of things to pray for. And people start calling for the information that we had did locally at a bookstore, at a printing shop rather, and just very basic. And people were calling for it. And I said, wait a minute, let me go ahead and reach out to a printing company, a publisher. And this guy named Dr. Dennis Wood from Life to Legacy, he said, man, you know, this is how really great books really began. It's not like you sit back and say, hey, I want to write a book. It has to come naturally. You know, it has to just really evolve from your spirit. He said, man, you really got something. And when he gave me a price that he wasn't really, and it was a price that he was being fair with me, and he was giving me a rock bottom price, I said, okay, you know, this guy's for real. And so I gave him an opportunity to print this book and put it together. And it's on Barnes and Noble, and it's on Amazon, and people are buying it, particularly people who are connected with me, because we haven't put $20,000 or $100,000 budget behind it. We've done no marketing, nothing but word of mouth. So we got rid of easily 400 or 500 at the church, and then people who are connected to parishioners and congregants in my church, they would call, hey, my aunt and uncle heard us talking about the book. How can they get five? Or I got a friend. Hey, Marilyn, if you're watching, you better watch this show today, okay? Marilyn and her husband, Reverend Neil, down there in Florida, they ordered 20 books. So, that's how it came about. And the purpose is to inspire people to pray and to encourage them as well. That was a long answer. Sorry.
So the inspiration came for the 30-day fast.
Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned prayer.
Yes.
The term people use now is prayer warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to ask a reverend about that say, I need your prayer warriors out there. And people like, I need the way in the water type of prayer, like down south prayer, the type of prayer. What you say about that? The term prayer warriors, because you said something that triggered this question about if anybody knows the answer of prayer, send them to Children's Memorial
If
Hospital.
anybody masters prayer. I don't know
prayer.
of anybody that masters prayer. I certainly don't master it, because otherwise, everybody that's hurting, I just spend day. I'm tired today. I got a cold, but if I had the magic hand, everywhere I would go and I just pray, and all their problems would disappear and dissipate. Man, I would need but a couple Red Bulls and some vitamins, because I want to help people. And so one thing about prayer warriors, when they use that terminology, everybody, they have their own description or definition of what that really means. In my mind, when I think of prayer warriors, I think of people who are really serious about prayer, people who have a relationship with the creator of this universe. And I believe that if I tell them to pray for me, that they won't just go through the motions. If you look on social media, and I see you on it quite often, you'll see people when somebody passes, um, they say, I'm praying for you, sorry for your loss, I'm lifting up prayers. Sometimes I laugh. I say, why are all these people lying? They know they're not praying. It's something cool to do. Some are doing it, I know, but for the most part, how many people are really going to follow it up and get out on their knees and just really pray? But there are some people who do that. And those are the people that I want to be connected to in this life, because I need all the spiritual power in my life I can get. Because when you look at me, I just left the University of North Park. I just taught up there. And these students were sitting around, these young seminarians. They were really praising me and all that kind of stuff. I said, hold it. You're looking at a guy that God called to preach, and I'm still trying to figure out why in the heck did he call me? Because he obviously was desperate to call me, because I'm nothing but a piece of junk. So when you hear me preaching the gospel, it's a miracle.
So moving right along.
That's right. That's right. I'm saved by grace. That's the point. If anybody say, I know that guy's Ira Acree, that guy is no good. Forget him. He's no good. Well, I already told my members I'm no good. I'm just a guy that God chose to use.
There's a follow-up question to that, but I'm gonna save it because of timing purposes.
Sure.
You have been involved since over the summer with finding a solution to the violence in Chicago. However, it seems that no community leader is coming up with an answer to curb the violence. What is your take or opinion about the problem on the streets here in Chicago regarding the violence? You look at we're 7 days in the new year. Already a child has been shot. Several people, South Austin, somebody got just by sitting in their car. What is your take? Because it just seems like no matter what we do, no matter what law is passed, the issue is still coming and it's more rapid now than ever before.
We have a big problem, and nobody has the silver bullet to solve this major issue. One thing I have chose not to do is to. There's a campaign coming up with this mayoral election. You got aldermen running. People can say these buzzwords. I got solutions for the violence. I don't even hear all that. I don't want to hear that at all because that's deceptive. If you really want to get to the root problem and cause of the violence, you got to go to the fundamental issues that produce all of the poverty that leads to the self-hatred and to the violence in the end. And that means you got to look at poverty. You got to look at the educational system. Right here in Chicago, this educational system needs to be transformed. It makes no sense because in our in Chicago, you can determine the caliber and quality of school that a kid attends by his zip code. Your zip code should never determine the caliber of school you go to. Those who are listening on radio or on intellectual radio right now across the country, you need to understand here the problem is that funding for schools are generated from the tax base of a community. So a child does not choose his parents. A child does not choose his parents. You got it? So if you're born to a family that's impoverished, that's going to determine that you have a school with limited funding. And so we got to transform the school system. We need to look at police reform. Um, we need to have some job training. We need to bring the trades back into the school. There's so many things we must do economically to combat this violence. And then also we've got to look at the family. Uh, we've experienced what I want to call, Brother Roman, collaborative failure in multiple institutions, and we've got to deal with that. When we just say violence per se, I think you're casting too broad of a net, and it could be misleading. But you're going to hear people saying that because that sales, that gets the camera's attention and all of that. But when you hear people talking about jobs and education, you will know that they are serious about ending the tale of two cities and stopping this problem with violence.
But I'm going to say something here. I'm going to say to you, let's say you're the mayor, Reverend Acree, right? You're talking about jobs, blah, blah, blah. I heard this song and dance before. I heard it all the time.
What song and dance do you hear?
Jobs, opportunities. I'm going to bring jobs.
That's the question. You heard people request it. Nobody has delivered. That's the real issue.
But
I'm getting excited.
But here's the thing.
Nobody's delivering.
But who fault is that? That's the leadership fault. Not holding
the leader.
No, but what I'm saying is if we elect these politicians over and over again.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I brought in this, I brought in that. And the treatment of our community is kind of like the gum on the bottom of our shoe.
Oh, yeah, well, I agree with you. Let me say something. You are 110% right. That's why this time, when the upcoming mayoral election, I've evolved to a point. Who is any more black and proud than me? I grew up under these great leaders in our city. Harold Washington was our champion when I was coming along, and I was trained under Jesse Jackson. I mean, I was a leader for African American causes in high school. President of African American Club. I'm black and I'm proud. But this time, when we elect this mayor, it has nothing to do about black or white. It's about wrong and right. And so I'm not just going to be talking about black. I'm going to be talking about people who are going to put forth a vision for these various entities and issues that we brought up. Because the Bible says, and I know you didn't bring me on to preach, but it's a fact that without a vision, the people perish. And some people come to the office with a vision. I'm sorry, but many times that vision just doesn't include us.
But here again, we've been bought and sold to other neighborhoods. Our money has been given to other neighborhoods. What I'm saying is, I give you a prime example. No takeaway, and here's a disclaimer
Sure.
already. All right, we got a mayoral candidate, Willie Wilson, and I'm going by name because I know. Willie Wilson has this factory in Carroll Stream. He does this, you know, medical factory that makes plastic for all the hospitals that's out there. Now, my question is, he's doing prison reform, and he's out of his own pocket bonding them out.
Sure.
But here's my question. Okay, I understand what you're doing, but as soon as they get out, you're giving them no direction, no nothing. You're not even designing a training program to say, "Hey, come go work with me."
So what are you saying?
So what I'm
No,
saying.
let me say.
Okay.
So would you just say, just leave them alone and just let them rot in prison?
Well, no,
can you
I'm
give them
not.
credit
No,
for doing
no.
something?
What I'm saying is, I am giving him
Okay,
credit.
okay.
What I'm saying is, and I'm being clear. You have a factory in Carroll Streams.
Mhm.
We have a high recidivism rate in Austin, which you're aware of, and you're bonding people out. But you're not saying, okay, if I release you, you got to go to this training program. If I release you, there's some direction instead of just.
But Willie Wilson is a businessman. He just got into politics 4 years ago.
But he has people around him that can say, "Hey, before
But
you implement this
I'm just
policy."
trying to tell you, he's a
Okay.
businessman, and business people. I talk with business people all the time. You know, many of these business people, they're not about Republican, they're not about liberal, they're not about conservative, they're about making money. They're not pastors, they're not educators, they are not social service workers, they are not from the media. They about one goal: making sure that business makes money. Do I agree with that? I mean, I don't disagree with it. If I was a businessman, I would not be in business just to make people feel good. I would want to make money. You know, so that's what they're doing.
But I mean, you frown upon that? I mean,
No, I don't frown upon it. All business people look. Well, let me see.
But here's
ComEd, they are in it to make money. What else? Here's another company. This cup company. They're in it to make money. What else? This company, Apple. They're in it to make money. So don't put an extra onus on this black man. He's in it to make. He's there to make money.
Okay, but I also agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're there, but there's other opportunities to do that. You can make money and then some. Okay. What I'm saying is, you have a plant in Carroll Stream.
You can make that case to him. You know,
no. I understand. I understand, but we're talking about jobs and opportunities. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, Austin is lacking. Mm-hmm. You've been to Austin. He's been to your church. He's been to everybody's church on the west side. And the conversation is, why won't you bring your Carroll Stream plant to the Austin and help some of these children?
That would be great. But that's just one.
I know it's tip of the iceberg.
That's all it is. It's like taking a teaspoon going to Lake Michigan. You know,
but that's something better than nothing.
It is.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there because it's
so. Let me ask you. Now you spent a lot of time talking about Willie Wilson. Now that's not going to solve the job issue.
No, I'm not saying that's going to solve the job issue. I'm saying,
but that's just one of your criticisms of him.
Right. Right. That's one.
I'll go along with that.
I mean, and there's another criticism of a West Side candidate, Amira Enya.
Okay.
Amira Enya has been, the director of the Austin Chamber of Commerce for 5 years? And again, no jobs, no opportunities, no businesses coming in during that leadership period. You see where I'm
Sure.
going? I'm not, and I want people out there on IntellectualRadio.com to know these are facts, and I'm not just beating them up. You can look them up. What I'm saying is
In
if
her defense, now let me just tell you this.
right.
Uh, I'm gonna Dr. Wilson. I have a great relationship with him, and Amara Enya. I have a wonderful relationship with her. In fact,
Hmm.
you can go down the list. LaShawn Ford.
Right,
This is
exactly.
the craziest election I've ever seen in my life. I got a great relationship with him,
Hmm.
and Dorothy Brown.
Hmm.
I that out of all the candidates, she's the one candidate that ever got a couple $1,000s out of my household when she ran for clerk at one time, and I thought they were trying to take her out. I was resenting that Rom and Tony Preckwinkle coming trying to take her out. So I told my wife Margaret, we're gonna put some money behind Dorothy. So I got a relationship with these people. Nevertheless, they have to defend themselves. I'm independent. I'm independent. You gotta get them in here.
Let's leave it at that. But
Sure,
I mean, that was a follow up to
sure,
your
sure.
questions, and to be fair
This is
to
good.
right there.
You know you got a good interview
Look,
going when you make me sweat. You really growing in this, man. I'm really appreciating your style.
What you trying to make me laugh?
But no, I'm serious. Your
What
growth has been amazing.
what is your opinion about the mayoral race?
Hmm.
And nobody has talked about. They talk about prison reform, but they have not talked about juvenile,
Okay.
like juvenile detention,
Hmm.
juvenile reform. In my defense, and I did some research on this, and
Sure.
I currently read a book about how the prosecutors
Sure.
are assessing
Hmm.
astronomical sentencing on young black men,
Hmm.
and the young white men with the same crime are getting like a slap on the wrist.
Hmm.
You get probation, but no, brother, you gonna go to jail for 2 or 3 years. There is no, let's say, a watchdog group to police the person who, because it's up to them to put that sentencing in. There is no watchdog group to say, hey, Kim Fox, which she was on the show, and trust me, you wasn't the only one that was sweating, but it is basically saying that there is no policing to watch the police to actually when sentencing
You mean
on
this? You talking about the state's attorney?
this, not only the state's attorney, we're talking about the Cook County state's attorney,
Okay.
the larger in the scope when they prosecute these crimes from large offense to the big offense.
Sure.
And you do a comparison analysis, these offenses are really
Mhm.
out there. The penalty is you got 12% of African Americans that's living in the state of Illinois, and it's only 58% that's serving in a jail system here in the state of Illinois. So that concerns me as a African American
Oh,
male.
you're saying about 12% people
20,
in the
12%
population and
in popular.
58%
You're right.
of the prison
Right.
population. That's all
Exactly.
across America. That kind of lets you know that we have to get to the point where all lives really do matter. And clearly, Black lives still are fighting for relevance here in our state, in our city, and in our county. That's a fact.
How can we get like yourself to go to like the juvenile detention to talk to these young brothers to see about the gun violence and why they're doing this?
You're trying to give me another job.
No, I'm not trying to get you another
Okay.
job, but I'm trying to get like some clarity because somebody knew you was coming on the show,
Mhm.
and they said, could you ask about the juvenile detention because nobody is not talking
Tell you
about
what, I was teasing with you, but I'm Ira Acree. I've been in this community a long time. I was in the community as a pastor when I was young. Look at me now. I'm an old man now, right?
it.
So I've been out here a long time, and people can tell you if you call for me, I'm coming. It does not matter. No distance is too far. No time is too late. You call for me. I got a cold. I'm sick. I'm here, right? All you gotta do is call me. I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got a group of people who'll be surrogates if I can't make it. I'm a part of a great organization, the Leaders Network. Um, Leaders Network Chicago.org. We got Marshall Hatch, Cy Fields. We got Eric Purnell, Lindsey Joyce, and Matthew Miller, and some others.
There was a press release talking about, or probably a plea about to the mayoral candidates discussing the tale of two cities in Chicago. Describe that to us and why you think there is a tale of two cities.
Well, number one, I thought it was very important to issue that release because media personalities had reached out to me. Hey, who are you with? Who are you supporting? Things of that nature. And after much prayer and much dialogue and some high powered discussions with people that I really valued their opinions, I came up with the idea that I don't think it would benefit the community for a person who considers himself a community leader to endorse someone right now. We need to make the case because I believe this is our last stands as a community. African Americans, you've seen the exodus of blacks leaving our city. This is our last stands, and we must get it right. We must get it right. And so, how do we get it right? Should we, out of 17 candidates, all jump behind one candidate and then somebody else gets there, someone that we didn't support or endorse, and then we're left in the cold? We need to make sure, I feel, that we have certain issues discussed. Quality and equity in education, job training for adults, affordable housing, real police reform, supporting Black led anti violence initiative, economic investment on the South and West side. These things got to be dealt with. It does not matter if it's Tony Preckwinkle, Willie Wilson, Amara Enya, LaShawn Ford, Dorothy Brown, Lori Lightfoot, Bill Mendoza, Greg, Jerry Chico, or those other two or three people you don't know by name. we got to make sure that the issues are dealt with. We got to.
Well, I'm going to let you know my perspective and reasons of the reason why it's really the Chicago leadership is not forcing the powers that be to basically.
I don't even know who the Chicago leadership is.
Well, you're talking about the mayor. You're talking
Okay.
about the governor.
Okay.
I mean, it gives you a sight to see because Paul Vallis.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Paul Vallis did a commercial, and he said like 5 miles away from the Mag Mile,
sure,
on Michigan Avenue, it's like no resources, no this, no that. In the Austin community, it's almost like Desert Storm.
It is.
And you have these aldermen running for re-election, and they said, "But I did this and I did that." Why we're not holding them accountable?
When you say we are not holding them accountable,
I'm not saying you per se. I'm just saying we as African Americans, we elect them.
I think you need to go back to that because when I look around here and you talk about we're not holding people accountable, when you talk about people that are leaders out here on the West Side, all the leaders, they're on the inside. Only people I see out here speaking up sometime is myself, T.O. Hardiman, Marshall Hatch. I mean, who are you talking about? I don't see everybody's inside of their temples, inside of their churches, inside of their businesses, inside of their schools, inside of their radio studios. I mean, nobody's speaking out. I mean, what? I mean, people have gone underground.
But why you think they're going underground?
Listen, I don't know if people.
You're talking about the tale of two cities.
Yeah.
A corner store is making approximately $32,000 to $42,000 a week off link, off lottery, off liquor, and soon as election comes, and I'm bringing this up for a reason, because every single time
you can tell it like it is. I'm not an elected official. I have no interest of ever being one. I've been running for Jesus. I wouldn't know how to walk into churches and community rooms and tell people to vote for me. I've been telling people to vote for Jesus, so I don't know how to switch.
But here's the thing. You're talking about the tale of two cities. Our elected officials that's been sitting there for 10, 20, 30 years.
They have been horrible. If you want me to say that, they've been ridiculous.
But why seniors? Why people are not holding them accountable?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. You probably need to ask them. because I'm one who
Some of
speaks.
them refuse to come on the show.
I'm the one who speaks truth to power. I am. And let me just tell you this for the record. And I've been nice today, but let me just go take a swing real quick. When people in our community try to stand up and speak up, they get kicked in the butt. Okay? Let me tell you, we lost a good man, Richard Boykin. And I'm out of here with that. He stood up and they came after him. It's a good man. He fought for us. He was independent. He was a real leader. And look what happened. They all came together. This Jesse White, God bless his heart. You know, we appreciate his work. He's, what is he, 87 and all of that. God, we're not anti-elderly. I want to get old one day too. But you had him come together. Tony Preckwinkle. You had the representatives out here. They all came together.
Preckwinkle could talk. This is one thing that
that's my point. I went too far. That's enough. I like all of y'all. God bless you, Uncle Jesse. In case you see this, Uncle Jesse, I love you. You taught my wife in high school. She did over at she was a student at Jesse White's.
Okay,
at Westinghouse.
We have to.
Okay.
We have to basically, because I'm being fair
Sure.
to you and everybody. But before you go,
we'll be back. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Take care of this business with my little vehicle, but I'll be back.
Yeah, but I have to.
We got to do a reunion for my friend Earl. I'm bringing T.O. Hardeman in here, Robin Lee, Action Jackson, Marshall Hatch. We're gonna have some fun. He better have some pizza for us too.
Oh, see, you heard that. He said he will. But I want to, before you go, sure. I want to ask this question, and it's a spiritual one. Given the nature of what's been going on nationally and locally, people are losing their faith in God. Why God has taken away my child? Why God is allowing this to happen to us? Why people are acting this way towards each other? And it seems like you're allowing too much free will to happen. What's going on in the spiritual realm?
You asked the question and gave the answer. The Lord is not we're not robots. He's not pulling the strings. You have two wills, divine will and permissive will. And, permissive will, he permits certain things to happen. And, it goes all the way back to when Adam and Eve blew it in the Garden of Eden. That allowed free will to come in. That's pretty good, though, because I really wouldn't. I don't know if we can really have fulfillment of joy and peace and contentment if we were just like robots or strings being pulled. But with the entrance of evil in the world, there's been hell to pay. I can tell you that much.
All right. Tell them how they can get the book.
You can get this book. Go to Amazon.com or go to Barnes & Noble. We had a few hundred at the church. They are gone, but you can get it online just like that, and they'll give it back to you with free mailing.
And also, thanks for being on the show. Already I hooked you up with Black Products and Brock Services. So free advertisement. So you can advertise your book whenever you want to. Is already there.
And if you ever want to come to church, come to Greater St. John Bible Church, 1256 North Waller Avenue. God bless you. Thank you, all right, my man.
Thank you so
much.
Keep
up the good work.
Appreciate
Can't
it.
wait till you all go every day.
Thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
All right. We'll be back with Demetrius Nash coming up on Drive. And we're back on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. sponsored by Joshua Flynn and Associates. Get your insurance today. My next guest is a community leader who walked from Chicago to DC to highlight the gun violence and research affecting the Black community. Please give a drive at 5. Welcome back to Demetrius Nash. Welcome back to the drive, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Please give intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station a brief background of yourself.
Well, it started like at one point I was part of the problem. Now I'm just one of the faces of the solution. My activist work started when Laquan McDonald was the tape was released, and I saw a young man shot down worse than you would do an animal that you're hunting. He was shot 16 times. And for me, it just did something to me. And all the seeds that my grandparents planted, the people that came before me and fighting for the liberation of the community, all those seeds just germinated. And I got out my bed that night, and I haven't been in my bed comfortably ever since, speaking out, fighting for change for the community. At one point, I was in the streets. Like I said, part of the problem. At one point, I'm doing $30,000 in heroin sales on 35th and State. One of the gang leaders over there, and I don't glorify it. It's just what it is. And all that I've been through make me all that I am. And because of my jail time, which was 8 years in the federal system, because I had been in the streets, I can talk to these young men and women in ways that most can't. Politicians can't, pastors can't. They believe in me. And then it led up to me literally walking 672 miles from my grandmother's house, Hermione Bennett, on 79th and Kenbark, to the White House.
I'm kind of interested of your take on the last segment there, talking about the tale of two cities and why leadership took so long, and kind of like saying something about it.
About what?
The tale of two cities, like downtown.
Yeah, I get it.
Then you go to
I know
parts of
3500 South looks very different from 3500 North. It is a tale of two cities. I was just fortunate before I even got in the streets. I went to private boarding school, so I went to Covert Military School, and it was a school that cost $17,000 a year to go to high school. And so when I came back my senior year, I went to Chicago public schools, and I saw our school system was failing just on that level, just on an educational level. So then when I got into, politics and seeing the things that was going on fighting for the community, I saw how disinvested it is on our end. And I was wondering, like, how can it be 20 something aldermen? Because for me, aldermen, they do two things. They supposed to bring resources back to the community, but they also our city council is supposed to check the power of the mayor, right? And so I didn't see any of that. I didn't see the mayor's power being checked, and I didn't see resources coming into our community the way that other automatic wards were being taken care of. So that's a big thing, when you're looking at the tale of two cities. How can it not be when if these killings were happening, if the gun violence was happening on the Gold Coast, people would be in an uproar. But a 15-minute, 10-minute drive away from the Gold Coast, people are dying every day. Matter of fact, two of my little brother's friends were murdered on 51st in Indiana maybe a few days ago. Two young men were shot and murdered, and this is normal. Like, this is something normal.
Do you think it's a gang war going on? Do you think it's some type of war that's going on? I've been asking this question for almost 2 years, and all community leaders say, no, it's not.
That's not the truth. You know why community leaders, well, not all, but you know why most community leaders can't tell the truth about the question? Because they don't know these kids. They don't know who's in it. They don't know what's really going on. They just sitting in positions, because it's like this. It's very disrespectful to make laws and policies and speak about people that you don't engage. Where are these kids? They in the streets, and they in the nightclubs. When the last time you ever seen the politician go to one of these nightclubs where these young men be? When the last time you seen a politician or pastor come out of their comfortable homes, churches, and jobs and really get on the ground with these young men and ask them the questions? See, they don't know that it's a gang war going on because they haven't talked to gang members. They don't know them. I go out my way to talk to these young men every single day. They call my phone, they DM me. And also, when you talk about leadership and you talk about if you in the community or you're representing the community, do you have Instagram? Do you have Twitter? Do you have Facebook? These are where these young men and women, they communicate, Snapchat and things of this nature. So if your social media presence isn't strong, you're not even talking to this demographic. So yes, it is a gang problem going on, but it's not a gang problem in the sense of what it used to be. Like, remember back in the day, you had clear cut GD, BD, Vice Lords, and Blackstones. You looking at me like you don't know. You go agree
No,
or not
no,
agree?
no, I
Do you
agree.
agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason I was like,
Yeah.
go ahead,
So,
but you
um,
forgot Four Corner Hustlers. You
I,
forgot.
yeah. So that's how it used to be, and it was structure. It was older men that ran those factions, so you had some wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Now the big homie in some of these little splinter cells, which are rooted from Black Disciple and GD and all this, but they big homie may be 20, they big homie may be 18. You don't even have, you ain't lived long enough to even make a wise decision or intelligent decision. You may come from a broken home. You may be suffering from PTSD. There's issues in our community that we're not addressing. Hurt people are hurting people, from a relationship side to a friendship side to our relationship with churches.
But
And
is that an excuse? Hurt
nah,
people to hurt people because
no,
I'm
it's not
hurt?
an excuse.
It's okay to hurt you.
Nah, it's not an excuse, but when you hurt, you don't you that's what you do. I'm not giving it an excuse, it's just what it is. Um and it's something. The community is a reflection of the symptoms of systematic poverty, systematic war on drugs that then decimated our community. And shout out to Bobby Rush. He's the only person that I've seen, black congressman, that came out and apologized about signing the crime bill that which decimated our community. Our leadership has failed us. In the 50 years since Martin Luther King has died, we haven't gotten no better in no area pertaining to the 1% of wealth we had back then. We still got the same 1%. Pertaining to incarceration rates, they are higher. Pertaining to educational systems within our community, it's terrible. So if you've been in leadership, including myself, in the community for the last 50 years, I don't care who you are, you have failed us. Period.
So let's say, because you're part of the millennial leadership.
But I'm not even a millennial.
It
It is what it is. But I go
Yeah.
out my way to engage them. So I'm one of their big homies.
Right. So why leadership, especially millennial leadership, is not together on issues concerning the community when it is time to, like you mentioned, like the automatic race is happening now.
Right.
It's time in mayoral candidates. Why they're not millennials not holding them accountable? They're like MIA. They're silent. And then when it comes time to do the checks and balances, saying you're not doing your job, we're going to make sure you get out.
Well, the millennials are a reflection of the elders. The elders can't get it together. The pastors can't get it together. See, I'm fortunate to be in between. So I'm like one of the last generations that had a grandmother that actually wasn't my friend, was my grandparent. So I have a undying love for my elders and the leadership that came before me, right? So the elders love me, but when I talk to the pastors, I have a lot of pastor friends. As soon as you ask a pastor, can we go talk to this pastor? They don't like each other. They won't go in each other churches. So if our clergymen can't come together, that's supposed to be the leadership of our community, the spiritual leadership, they don't even like each other. Then you go to politics, or politics as I call it. You got the elders that holding on so long to the torch till they about to die. When are you gonna move out the way? And I'm not saying a hostile takeover, because we still need that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. At 40, I still need that. But at the end of the day, we don't have succession plans in our community. So now you got the millennials that's just tired of the elders that won't give us nothing. They doing it and they saying, well, we got to take what we want. And they hostile. And once again, these millennials that didn't have no grandparents, they grandparents cool with them. So they don't have the respect level for a Reverend Jackson or any of these elder statesmen that's been in our community, Danny Davis and all them. And sometimes I have to check them like, nah, hold on. The reason why I was able to walk the way I was able to walk, because Martin lost his life, because Farrakhan did what he did, because Reverend Jackson did what they did. Look, our elders really paved the way, but our millennials feel like we dropped the ball on them. You know, we only want to, the elders and the next generation only want to come around them when they have something to offer them. They not coming around just to sow seeds of love and respect and wanting the best for them. So they divided because they are a reflection of us. They're a reflection of the church. They're a reflection of the elders in politics. They're a reflection of the whole of the divisiveness in our community. So how can they be something else when they can't be what they haven't seen? They haven't grew up in a time when we could go to the church for answers. Now our church system looks like Disney on ice, and um it looks like all we do is beg. From the church begs us. It don't give us no answers. And so that's the type of things that we got to think about.
A 20-year-old man
Hmm.
was charged with the shooting death of a 7-year-old while riding in a vehicle that happened not in Chicago, riding with her mother. At first, it was it was a white man.
Right.
Now it is clear that it was a 20-year-old black man accused of this crime. Where is the outrage in
Oh,
the black community
well, it,
to say this is unacceptable? But they were marching when it was a white man. They
I
were holding rallies when it was a white man.
hmm
But when it was a black
hmm
doing something to a 7-year-old, it's like mom's the word, move right along.
I mean, once again, it's a reflection of the community. You know, for me personally, I'm outraged whether it was a white man or a black man. I'm outraged whether it's a white cop or a black cop. I'm outraged because taking the life of another person is just not right, no matter what color, no matter if it's a baby, no matter what. Taking a life, you're not God. So I'm outraged all the time. That's kind of like a sticky subject, because of the simple fact that we have all these rules, we have these no snitching rules, we have all these things that's really dumb in our community. Because for me, if you haven't ever
But they
been,
think it's cute.
I mean, they
They
think
they
it's
think
cute,
they wear t-shirts saying snitches get stitches.
right? I'm not in agreeing of that. If you ever see by me, my whole thing is this: if you never ever was in criminal life, then you're not a snitch. If you doing criminal activities and then you tell on those that you've been around, then you a snitch. But if you're a normal citizen and you going about your day and somebody just came up and shot somebody or robbed somebody, it's totally destroyed your life. Some people aren't used to that. And that's the whole thing. But it's sticky. I'm outraged about that. I want them to be prosecuted to the furthest extent of the law. I don't care who it is. And we got to get out of society where we have a certain level of concern if it's a white person versus if it's a black person. If you do a crime, it should be colorless. You should just, if you did it, this is your punishment. I don't care who you is. I don't care if you're privileged. I don't care if you poor. I don't care if you nothing. That goes for rape. That goes for robbery. That goes for all these things. But somehow in America, it always gets to the black and white thing. And then whites get privileged, don't go to jail for long as browns and Mexicans and
But it goes back to the conversation I had with Reverend Acree. Do you think, because it's up to the prosecution
right.
to determine, like, you were in for you were incarcerated.
Right.
Okay. The prosecution could say, I'm going to give you 10 years.
All right.
And you was like, whoa, that's a less offense. And a white person doing the same amount of crime, same thing, a slap on the wrist, you'll get probation. I understand. You'll probably get 2 years or 3.
Right.
Do you think the prosecution should be policed?
Of course, it should be a checks and balances. You should look at the record and see how they prosecute in our community versus other communities and other people of color. Because, like I said, it should be universal. It should be equality in it all. Before we go, we have some other things we want to discuss, right? About Thrive and about some other things.
Okay, but just quickly, because I'm getting a hard rap here. Quickly, your opinion about the R. Kelly docudrama.
Everybody around him failed him. He needed help a long time ago. There was some issues, and I feel like, he didn't do it alone. And as a brother and as a friend of the community, I'm hoping that he gets help. And I'm not here to prosecute nobody. Okay.
And also, I wanted to know, well, I have a take. We're going to invite you back on the show because again, this is a good subject to talk about. So, so go ahead, how people can get in contact with you and in touch with you.
You can reach me at dnash425 on Instagram, Demetrius Nash on Facebook.
Okay. That's it? Okay. Thank you so much. And don't be a stranger. We're going to have you back, okay?
All right.
All right. Thank you. That's going to do it for us on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer, Wanda, who is behind the scenes. Guys, have a good one.